Well, hello everyone. We are live here at the Charlotte Black Film Festival, the 10th annual Charlotte Black Film Festival. And I'm super excited. If you guys did not know this, the Charlotte Black Film Festival does submissions for U.S. films. And we also have an international category as well. And we're just super excited that we had one film that came into the festival, really talked about a real serious issue that's been a historical issue that sometimes is still prevalent in Africa. And we're going to discuss that. And I'm super excited for the cast, the producers, the writers, and director of MÉBET that's here. And we just super excited. Someone just gave you a big shout out before we get started. And they said, hey, y'all, this is somebody from the U.S. that wants to greet you. Give them a wave real quick. And so what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm Tommy Nichols, founder of the Charlotte Black Film Festival. I want to say hello to everybody, and I'm going to go around and have you introduce yourself and where are you in this part of the world, and what role did you play in the film? That's all I want you to do. Give me your name, where are you in the world, and what role did you play in the film? And I'm going to let your director introduce everybody and let them talk, because I will mess your name up.
Okay, my name is Osman Jaju Said, and I'm the director of MÉBET. I currently live in Washington State, United States. And I mean, these people are very much capable of introducing themselves. I'll just let them take it on. Maybe we can start with Jama. I'm being a little biased here, but yeah. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Jama Jack. I am connecting from the Gambia. I wrote the story, the original story for MÉBET, and I'm also handling everything comes publicity, marketing for the film, as well as for the company, RebelVZN. It's great to be here.
Okay, Musu.
Hi, my name is Musu Bakoto Sawo. I'm an activist, a women's rights activist. I am currently in the Gambia, and the movie was dedicated to me.
All right. Is Mariama still there? Okay, there she is. Mariama Koli, yeah. Do it, introduction.
Yeah, sorry. So my internet is acting up. But yes, my name is Mariama Koli, and I am from the Gambia. I acted lead role and as Njiland. I was also the production manager of this film.
Oh, wow. Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, and Hakeem?
Yeah, my name is Mohammed Hakeem Mahoney. I'm the co-producer with Osman on the MÉBET film. And I'm based in the UK.
Interesting. Awesome. Well, guys, tell me real quick. And I didn't know that you were, I watched the movie a couple of times, and I guess you were in the role of the young lady. So I did not even know that was you. You know what I mean? I didn't know that this was you, which is really good.
Total transformation.
Yeah. I loved your character in the film. But let's go with the writer and just talk about this film. I mean, and I love the way the story was told and kind of how you took us away from the issue with the dancing and the opening scenes. It was really away from the issue. Then you brought us in. Talk to me about, you wrote this film. What inspired you to write this film? And how did you come about creating the script?
So I wrote this story in 2012. I was an undergrad student in Morocco, and at the time I had just started a blog where I was writing stories and just documenting my experiences of racism as a Black student in North Africa. And a lot of my work since age 10 has focused on human rights, going from children's rights right on to now having a very heavy focus on the rights of women and girls. So at that time, my writing was taking a life of its own, but with a very, very deep and strong anchor on women's rights. Child marriage is something that I work on. It's work that I do every day. It's something that I am very passionate about. And so that is really what informed the story that I wrote on child marriage. But I wrote it from a perspective of, finding a solution. I wrote it from the perspective of putting forward a story and wanting to get people to think about this issue and think about why we're all comfortable watching girls get forced into marriages. The other inspiration for me has been the lived realities of girls and women around me, one of whom is on this call today, who we dedicated the film to. I have friends who were forced into child marriages. And I like to say maybe one of the only reasons I wasn't a child bride is because of the home that I was born into. It's because of the family I was born into. That is really the only difference. You move one house from mine, there are girls who are being forced into marriages. And so for me, as a writer, as an activist, but also as a person who, who has friends, who has classmates that have been forced into marriage, I felt it was important to use my voice to tell a story, but also just put out word, start a conversation that can get people thinking. And this is really what we have done. When it comes to the script, I'm still very new to screenplay and all of that. So Usman really did a lot of the work with regards to the screenplay. And I remember we had quite a number of pushes and pulls. I was like, I did not write the story this way, and he's like, no, I'm going to put this in there. So there was a lot of arguments around what should go in, what should not go in. But in the end, we really had a script that reflected the story that I wrote. But also, 8 years after that story was written, bringing in a lot more nuance based on what I have learned along the way.
Yeah. What caused you? Because you said you started writing the script in 2012, correct? And so
Yeah.
2012.
So the story was written in 2012.
Oh, it was done in 2012.
The story was written in 2012, and I think we completed the screenplay in 2019,
okay.
And that's when we picked up work for production. Actually, 2018 was when we completed the script, and then in 2019 we filmed.
Okay, good. What told you it's time to pick the script back up? Because 2012 happened, life happens, and all of a sudden now you pick this script back up in 2018. What was it that said it's time to get this done? I mean, was it a burden on your heart? What caused you to? The gap was there, but what caused you to come back in and complete the film?
So when I wrote the original story, it wasn't for film. Like I said, it was for my blog. In 2014, I actually had a UK filmmaker approach me to say she wanted to turn the story into film, but she wasn't able to get the funds she needed to get that done. And then 2017, I got married to Usman. He had been reading my stuff, and he came to me and was like, I want to turn this into film. And I said, okay, you're the second person saying this, so this is a story for film. Let's do it. So I would say the push to get the story to film was actually his, and I just gave my blessing and stayed in the background to support the work.
Awesome. Well, Osman, so you were the director on this project, and so because you and the wife was collaborating, on this project, and you wanted to take it into film. Once the script was done, was there any conflict in vision in terms of directing? Jack, did she interfere with your directing as much as you interfered with her writing?
Yes, there was a little bit of that. Nothing that she's an activist, and I am not much of an activist, not as much as she is. So some of the, for me, my thing was, okay, how can we tell a story that is not just going out there and telling people, okay, this is bad, you have to stop, you shouldn't do it, as opposed to just trying to reflect a story that, tell a story that reflects all the nuances for people to just watch and deep it in, and allow it to sink and reflect on and think about. For me, it was more about that than really going out there and telling people, okay, this and this is what is right, this is what is right, or this is what is bad, and this is what you are supposed to do. And some of the conflict that we probably had is, she's an activist, and she would just want to go out there and tell people, okay, this is how this is supposed to be, and you need to stop. Just look at them in the face and tell them, just as a real activist would do. Right. And so these are some of the challenges, not challenges that we had, but we were able to walk through it easily.
Talk about the storytelling and how you were able to, uh, you know, the coloring of the film. How do you want to, bring something authentic, because it had to be an authentic story, for it to really relate to the audience. Talk about how you designed your shooting, or did a lot of things change in post? Because I thought it was done really good, especially the beginning, how it ended up. Was that,
Yeah.
talk about that process?
Yeah, a lot of things change in post, but if you look at the way the story was narrated, it's like circular. You know, it started and went all the way around and came back to exactly where it started.
Yes,
To
yes,
end,
yes.
and that in itself is significant because because we just, it's like we go in round and round and round, and this the issue of child marriage is happening over and over. It's going all the way around, it's coming back, it's going all the way around, it's coming back to the same place. So the idea to tell the story in that circular manner is actually significant. And you mentioned in the beginning that we introduced that the dance scene and all that, because we did that because we also wanted to reflect a little bit of the culture, and we wanted something that will just draw in the audience, let them come in, let them relax, and then slowly, just out the message to them.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
good.
think, yeah, and I thought that's an effective technique in
It
this case.
was. It really
Yeah,
was, because you come in happy, you want to dance. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You want to
yeah.
dance. You get it in, and for us in
Yeah.
America, we're always trying to do the little moves. We're trying to get it
Oh
in.
yeah, oh, yeah.
And so seeing that beginning, and then that brought us in it, because we were seeing some cultural dances, movements and stuff like that. So I thought that was
Right.
really, really clever. And then I think, like you said, it went in the circle because I was confused when they came out of the hut or whatever, and he came to this. Man, I was really completely lost when I saw that. I didn't know the
Yeah.
significance of that until the end, which I'm glad you kept me in suspense.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you said that, because yeah, there's actually a couple of people who watched it and felt the same. Like in the beginning they were a little bit confused, and it's a kind of movie that you really have to watch, pay attention, and as you get into it, things begin to unfold. I can say like the last maybe 7 or 10 minutes of the movie, that's when it just goes fast.
Yes,
Everything just
yes, it really.
unfolds quick.
Yeah,
And that's when you get it.
yeah. It's almost
Yeah.
like it changed paces once she came home from school with
Yes.
the announcement. That's when
Yes.
everything changed,
Yeah.
right?
It
Yeah.
picks up right there.
Good,
Yes.
good, good. So how do you like being talked about like a third person, even though you're the actress in the film? We're talking to you. We're talking about you. We're talking about you over
Yeah.
here in the role that you played. Talk about how did you approach this role? Because did you have the same feelings as the writer that this was a significant story that needed to be told? And so, with that being said, how did you approach the role? Understanding the importance of the message.
So Usman really reached out to me about this film, and I was away. I was not even prepared because I was really on a break at that time. I just finished a project that I was working on, so I was really on vacation, and I was just trying to relax. So when I saw the script, I was like, okay, this is an interesting story because I am an activist myself, and it is something that I was really keen about. And it's not the first time I was also acting a similar role. I think my first film in 2013, I acted a similar role from the Hand of Fate movie as a child who was married off at an early age. But this was a totally different perspective of it, of the story and the way it was narrated as well. So I was pretty excited. But we all know, like as actors, I'm not a teenager, by the way. So having to sink into the role of a teenager, you always have to go back and sit and try to bring your childhood memories back
Yeah.
to life. As a young girl going to school at the age of 13, how am I supposed to behave? How am I supposed to look? How am I supposed to speak to fit in my character? So it wasn't easy. I really had to really take time off from so many things to be able to synchronize with my character. And having to play double role as an actor at the same time as production manager was more hectic. You know, I always have to switch in moods in between. During the day, I can be focusing on one thing, and next minute I'm called on set to, you know, get in my school uniform and have to act. So this was one of the most challenging works that I have to do throughout my acting career. I am more of a theater performer as well. I am lucky to be one of the actors at the Ibunjan Theater, which is the only theater in the Gambia. So this was an interesting role for me, and I'm glad that I took it up, and it came out really great unexpectedly for me. You know, after watching it, I got into the emotions of it. For a minute, I forgot that was me in my character.
Wow.
I felt that was really Njilan, because I did cry at some point watching it for the third time. The first time I didn't, but then watching it for the third time, I really felt in with the character, and I was like, okay, so did I really do that? Did I really pull out that character? Did I bring the character to life?
Well, good.
Which
Well,
can be very challenging.
Yes, hold on, because I'm gonna bring someone. Let's talk about the rest of your production crew, because I want to bring in someone else to talk about how we displayed her story. So I think we have two other individuals here, and one we have not met with the headsets on. So let's have him introduce himself and what role did he play in the movie. He's in the white shirt.
Yeah, Setiyan.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah, your mic is mute.
Hello,
there you go.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Give us your name, where you're from.
Apologies for being late.
Okay.
My name is Sheikh Tijan Seka. I am from the Gambia, and I did the cinematography on this film.
Oh, awesome. What camera did you use?
I used a Sony FS700.
Okay, did you? Okay, awesome.
Yes.
You did a good job. I mean, really, really good. I'm sure the color. Who did the editing?
Usman did the editing.
I did the editing.
Oh, you did the editing as well. Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
but Setiyan he's an amazing cinematographer. He's really fantastic, and I really enjoyed working with him. In fact, after the movie, we collaborated on a couple of other projects, you know, doing music videos and stuff. I love working with him. He's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, it was really, really interesting. Some of the shots, you know, and I think it wasn't too. Some of the photographers, they do too much. They're really busy, and then the story gets sometimes lost in all the different angles, all the different, you know, movements with the camera. I believe that for the story, the way you shot it was allowed the story to come forward, right? Which is the purest form of when you're doing a story like this. And I believe you really captured it in that like manner.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things in the story was to capture the mood, because we were dealing with a topic that was a bit sensitive, and one of the most essential thing in the cinematography was to make sure that you capture the mood that that each scene has. So we were really conscious of that, and then when we were filming, we always made sure that that was a priority, and in our lighting and movement and everything.
Good. And then we also, I think your producer, is this your producer with the outdoor camera?
I missed that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
What role did you play in the film?
Basically, I sort of work with Usman on sort of every production that we do together. So when Osman pitched the production to me at the time, I was going to university because I studied drama, and so when he pitched the idea to me at the time, I was like, I think the story is great, but do you think we should wait? And he was like, I think this is a current topic. I think we should do this now. And then I was like, okay. So when I read the script, I was like, can we do this right now? He's like, yes, we're going to do this right now. Because Osman is more of an action person. He doesn't talk too much. Because I'm the loud person. I'm the loud guy that's always coming and talking. Then when he said we're going to do this right now, and he said to me, "I'm gonna go," but at the time I was in university, so I couldn't go. So what I did was sort of when he showed me the script, I sort of looked at the script. So we talked about the script, sort of then talked about the sort of the budget and how we were going to do it. He told me what it was going to entail, and sort of so we basically collaborated in terms of making it work. Whilst he was on the ground, I was here and giving advice when I needed to, and wherever there were stoppages, he let me know, and then we sort of saw it out from there. So I was more of looking over his shoulder just in case something was needed here or there, because I couldn't be on the ground at the time. But when I sort of saw the production when it was ready, I was very amazed because I've sort of seen Seth Tijan work, and I've seen what he was doing before. But when the production came out this time around, I was so amazed. I told Osman, I don't know. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Because I expected he was great because we've done a film together before, but this was just amazing because the story was beautifully told.
Yes.
And having a little bit of experience doing that in a drama school and seeing it being captured live, it was amazing. That's all I can say.
So you guys are production. You have a production company. The two of you are partners in the production company.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna pull you out and we're gonna bring in. Hold on one second. We're gonna do something here real quick. Good. We have you back in. And so, how are you doing today?
I'm exhausted, but I'm well.
Well, this story was written, I guess, around your life. Is that correct?
Maybe Jama is the first person to talk about that, but Jama and I go way back from high school. We've known each other before high school, but we grew to have a relationship during that time. So yeah, but the movie was dedicated to me, so I'll say it's my story.
Okay, good. So let's start with that, because I know people out here are listening and they really want to know more about your story, the real life story. We see what was captured on screen. What is it that you can share about your story? You know, growing up as a girl and facing that. Can you share something with us about that?
Yeah, well, growing up as a girl in the Gambia, I was one with a lot of ambitions. I had so many dreams that I wanted to fulfill, and I was a child rights advocate since I was age 9 years. So I started really early, and that's when I actually met Jama. It was during that period. So when I was 14 years old, I became a child bride. It was a shock to me because these were the very same things I was fighting against. And then I became a victim of those same things. So it was sort of like a knock in my face to a great extent because the system failed me. I couldn't have possibly thought that someone who was an activist, someone who started really young, someone who was campaigning for the rights of children would in herself have her rights violated in that regard. And the fact that the systems failed me in the sense that I was part of that very system. I wasn't someone that was unknown. I was someone that was quite visible. I had represented this country in so many platforms, in so many fora. And for me, for that to have happened to me and for nothing to come out of it was really a disappointment for me. And it almost made me give up. But when I thought about it again, I was like, no, this can't possibly be me. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted so many things. I wanted to be so many other things. So I didn't want to be just one of the statistics, to just say, okay, about 30% of girls in the Gambia are married off before they're 18 years old. And that has happened to many other girls. And I didn't want to do that. So I had to sort of like re-strategize. I knew I couldn't get out of the marriage because my parents had already committed to it, and knowing the kind of father that I had and a mother who didn't say much when she was alive. She just doesn't speak much. But that's mainly because of how she was brought up, how women are not supposed to be visible. They're supposed to be submissive to their spouses, and this was basically her. So she didn't have a say in my marriage. It was my father and my uncles who decided on that. I didn't want it, but it didn't make any difference. So I was like, since I couldn't get out of the marriage, perhaps there's something that I could do, which is to ensure that at least I get an education. And that was how I threatened my family that if they didn't let me go to school, I was going to kill myself. And that did make sense to them. So they let me go to school.
Exactly.
I completed high school under very difficult circumstances, because at some point people started talking about when I was in junior high that I was married. I almost dropped out of school because there were days that I just did not want to go to school to have to deal with that, because someone who is a child was forced to grow up. I didn't want to take up those adult responsibilities. I wanted to be able to enjoy my life, to be able to hang out with my friends. But there were a lot of restrictions in terms of that because I was someone else's wife.
Mm.
And in my context, being someone's wife is not just being married to that person, but also to the families
Wow.
of your spouse. And I had to go over to them every weekend, whether I liked it or not, because that was the norm, because that was what we do and what we knew. And basically, this summed up how my life went about. But I went ahead, completed junior high. I went to high school. I graduated from the University of the Gambia, where I studied law, and I was fortunate enough to win a very prestigious scholarship to study law, human rights, and democratization in Africa at the best university for law in Africa, which is the University of Pretoria. So yes, there is a lot of hard work that went into that, but we're here today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So seeing the movie, and tell me, how did you respond to seeing the movie, and how close was the movie to part of your story? Now we know the whole movie's not, thank God, because otherwise you wouldn't be
Yeah.
here. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not giving it away. If you guys want to see the movie Macbeth, you still have time. It will screen until 11:59 tonight, so you can see it over and over again. Go to Charlotte Black Film Festival, get Block 6. You can still see all the films that's screening today so far, and those that's going to screen later on up until 11:59 p.m. tonight. So interesting. So how did the film play out in terms of your life? How close did she get it?
A lot of it, especially the beginning of the movie, where Njilan struggled with her first night of marriage when it was consummated, that very much reflected my life and what I had been through when my marriage was consummated. It was one of the most difficult experiences I have had. And also when it came to childbirth as well, even though I lived, but that was a struggle for me as well. So those are parts of the stories that pretty much reflected me. But you know what the surprising thing is? Usman and Jama and everyone that worked on this movie, including Mariama, didn't tell me anything about the dedication. So I knew that they had, there was a movie that was produced. And in fact, Jama and Usman were, promoting the movie. But for some reason, usually I would have been part of it, but she kept me out of it. She wasn't involving me like she would be like, oh, I want Think Young Women to be part of this, but then could you delegate someone else just like that? And I didn't quite understand it. And I remember on the day of the premiere, I was like, oh, Gemma, like my husband's family has a function, there's a wedding, and I have to attend. I don't think I can make it to the premiere. And she's like, I don't care what's happening. You better show up. And I remember leaving home at like past 8. So when I got there, the movie had already started, but I wasn't even crazy to not be there. And then we continued watching, and I was like, wow, this is such a good movie. Then she told me, oh, I had just posted on my WhatsApp, oh, the movie is premiering, like you have to be here. And she's like, oh, watch till the end. I thought like, okay, maybe it's something I didn't even get, and it didn't even click. And then I saw the dedication, and then I saw my name, and that made me emotional. Thinking about it, I am getting emotional again. But I think for me, for them to be able to remember and understand that there are girls like me who existed, and there would be girls like me who would continue to go through what I have been through, or even worse, if actions or steps are not taken to make sure that they do not rob young girls of their childhood. That
Yeah.
child marriage will continue to affect girls the most if nothing is done. And if we put in place laws, it's not enough. That
Yeah.
we need to do more advocacy. We need to reach the people who are affected the most, and also understand that this is not even about rural versus urban, because I was born and brought up in an urban setup, but I am a child bride. So yeah, I can't be thankful enough to that team, their entire team, for dedicating the movie to me. It's such an honor and privilege, and I hope that they would continue to use their voices and their creativity to make that change that we need, not only in this country but across our continent and the world at large.
So let me ask you this question: how did when you saw it? I'm sure you saw it again. Now you saw it the first time. You probably saw it a couple times. Oh, you
Yeah.
say how well did the portrayal of this young girl? When she played the role of the young girl, how closely were you able to identify with the character?
I did, because Dylan is quite stubborn. And that also was me. I remember the first time I was told that, oh, you're gonna get married. I was like, are you joking? That was like my reaction. Like, you can't possibly be serious. And I think like it took several attempts until the day that my mother sat me down and told me that this wasn't actually a joke, that this is a guy who had seen you many years ago and hasn't forgotten about you.
Wow.
And I thought about that, and that reality, I connected with that, because that was just me. I was an outstanding student. I wasn't someone that wasn't doing well in school, so I couldn't really understand why anyone would want to take away such an opportunity. And Jilan was also that. So I felt like I saw myself in that movie a
That's
lot.
what.
And it's unfortunate that Jilan's story ended the way it did, but it's not unique, unfortunately.
Wow.
That
Wow.
has happened in the Gambia, and it continues to happen.
Wow. Well, here's
Girls
a
will
comment.
keep dying.
Well, here's a comment. It says, "Great movie, and I'm sure you all will continue to go to great places." We have another comment. Let's see here. Someone is saying, "Proud of you." Oh, you might know this, Miss Joan Chicka.
Yeah,
I'm proud
Chiquita.
of you. You are an inspiration to all women. Somebody saying, "Wow, you are super amazing. And God keep you stronger for young girls and young women." So you're getting these comments. Oh, somebody says, "Where can I watch it?" Hopefully my team is looking and they can let them know, where can I watch it. Let me stick this in here. Go to filmfestival.com and box office. Lot 6 film. All right. So amazing response. Have you guys done this? Because doing a short film like this, and we're discussing it now because the relevancy of the topic itself, even though that doesn't happen in America, it's illegal or whatever. How is it still prevalent in there? Is it still happening? Do you still hear about stories? And is it legal, or is it something based upon a particular tribe or customs in a different part of the mainstream part of Gambia? Talk about that. We can't hear you.
Well, yeah, it's still happening in the Gambia. It's one of the main issues that activists are fighting against every day. Though it's illegal, but it's still happening. And that was why Musu did emphasize that I think the laws need to be more effective in order to really take the ban, or to make sure that people understand how serious this is. And activists every day are raising their voices in all platforms on social media, myself, I have a radio show on radio where I create platforms for activists to come and use the platform to educate and create awareness on the dangers of child marriage. And you know, it's still a huge concern in this country, and that was why actually I think this film was very prominent and well supported when it came out. People wanted to see it and see how effective this message was and how the message would also affect the lives of other young people. And that's the more reason why it was in Wolof as well, one of our local languages in this country, so that people would get the information and learn and understand what message we were trying to portray. And the beautiful thing is, the night of the screening, so many people were touched by this story and understood the dangers that are associated with child marriage. Some people really cried, they broke down. And then they were able to approach some of us, especially the actors who were on this film. Oh, I didn't know this was how dangerous child marriage was. I didn't know someone could die from childbirth. I didn't know a woman could be raped in her marriage. And these were some of the questions or the concerns people really, you know, spoke about when the movie was shown. So it's still an ongoing fight, unfortunately. There are so many girls who are dropping out of school every day and being married off without their consent.
Oh, wow, interesting. And so here's an interesting question I think that I have, because we live in this day and time today. Yes.
I was just going to add, by extension, I know you said these factors or these problems are not happening in our society that we live in, but I think what the movie generally as well is trying to say is it's more for, it's advocating for sort of women's right, and for that to happen, like in every society that we're in, we see women here in the Western society, they're still protesting, they're still fighting for equal rights. And at the same time, when you look at Asian families as well in the UK here, for example, I'm not sure about America, but they're still fighting the same battles and they live here. So you can see some of them, they're supposed to go to school, or some things are happening. There's been cases where people are not allowed to actually marry the people that they want to get married to because they're not from the same, like in the UK a couple of years ago, somebody had to end up killing themselves because just the father didn't want it to happen. So I think in a Western society as well, as much as it's not talking, the film is based in Gambia, I think the relevance is so broad because it's all about empowerment. And like I said, in every society, there's people that they're trying to suppress and they're trying to come out of it. So I think if you look at it by extension, it does touch a little bit, not necessarily this is the type of people we're talking about, but by extension, I think it does go into detail of telling sort of the people that are sort of under the sort of a form of under pressure in this country as well, or everywhere else that's a Western country.
And it does have that, I think, in a little, I think it shows you that, you know, but I think the story is so direct for this particular topic. And there's plights all over the world with women's rights, but there's different levels. In America, those rights are a little different. They're more empowered than they are probably in the UK and of course in Gambia. So, but when you get to the extreme, when it's a forced situation where you don't have a choice, you know, in America we call that kidnapping. You know, so it's kidnapping. So when you're in a situation where there's no choice like that, that's kind of to the extreme. And so from my standpoint, and I think the listeners, super glad you guys brought this story forward. So let's talk about that, because have you guys engaged with any other nonprofit world organizations that's dealing with this? Because this is the type of film that should be connected with world organizations in terms of, in America, it's on the lines of sex trafficking. That's what we call it, when someone is grabbed and they're forced into something. Here, that's what's happened. That's real bad in America. But are you guys connected with any world organizations or other organizations who this is their main goal? This is what they do as an activist organization, and they really like this film?
Yes. So when we went ahead with the idea to create this film, and I think that's what's really special about the film for me, it had a heart and a soul. And the soul of the film was really to create material that was going to contribute to the already existing conversations on child marriage. But before I get into that, I just want to get back to your point around sex trafficking, child marriage. I think even in the US, there is child marriage that's not necessarily sex trafficking. So there are girls who are being married up even below the age of 10 in the US. And I think that's the point that Hakeem was trying to make. It happens among immigrant families. It happens even among white families where perhaps the stereotype does not really fit. People don't think that these things are happening, but child marriages are happening. Children are being forced to marry people that they do not want to marry, and it's not necessarily within. Of course, it's a sexual crime because that's a minor that you're getting into a marriage contract who is going to face rape in that household. So just to clarify that child marriage actually happens in the places where we feel like there's advances in rights as well. When it comes to our collaboration, so Musu and I, we work with an organization here in the Gambia called Think Young Women, and child marriage is one of the issues we work on. We travel across the length and breadth of the Gambia, engaging with communities, talking to people, and I think for me that's also one of the inspirations for when we determined what we wanted to do with the film. We wanted to be able to do that with the film, to go into those same communities, provide a tool that can enrich our conversations and get people thinking beyond the usual lines that we have always been using. So to provide a creative tool. We also got into a partnership with UNFPA, that's the United Nations Population Fund, through their office here in the Gambia. And they were able to provide some funding for us to show the film in 5 schools. Now, the reason why we went to schools is because we're targeting the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when we talk about generation change, now we talk about generation equality, we're talking about the sustainable development goals. The real opportunity lies with the children, the adolescents, and the young people. So it's with people like me who are yet to have children who can make a decision today to say, if I have a daughter, I'm not going to force her into marriage. It's with people like Musu who has a daughter and has decided my daughter is not going to be forced to face some of the things that I went through. So that really is the generation that we have been targeting, because then also there hasn't been a lot of indoctrination. There is still an opportunity for us to get to people's hearts and try to change their perceptions, try to change their understanding, and just rework the social conditioning that gets people to believe that child marriages are right. So we screened in 5 schools. We were able to reach over 500 students. And after every screening, we make sure to have conversations with them. So we ask questions, they ask us questions, we have discussions on child marriage, and we are always amazed at the insights we get from these children. Apart from the fact that they keep asking us for a part 2 to the film,
Oh, wow, wow, wow.
they also offer real-time solutions. Some of them stop and ask us, oh, why didn't Jilan resist when she was told she was going to get married? So we know these are girls who are probably going to resist if they find themselves in those situations. And that was a glimmer of hope for us, because not only do we have girls who know their rights, not only do we have also boys who understand what allyship means and are ready to step into those positions. Because we had some of the boys say, when I go home, I'm going to talk to my parents. If I was going to be forced into marriages, I'm going to say no. So that is really the generation that we have been trying to work with. So it's been challenging, but we've got support from UNFPA the Gambia. We ran that pilot. What we're trying to do now is to make sure the film is available in other Gambian languages so we can reach more communities and keep having the conversations with the different generations, but also keeping our focus on the younger generation to make sure our message really contributes to change that we can see and feel and believe in.
Yeah, good. And for me, I don't know if you have statistics, because let me say this. You mentioned here in America is widespread under 10 years old. Because, and if it's immigrant communities that you can't track, I think that's one thing. But as a whole, because not only is it against the law, I think one of the things that happens here is the public outcry. So that you would never be able to even hint to the fact that an older person married an underage child, especially under the age of legal rights. Even though some states at 16, you're legally, with your parents' permission, you can get married in some certain states. But under that, there will be a public uproar that will force the hands of everybody involved if we saw that here widespread in this particular country. But the sex trafficking is major. It's major. So let's talk about this. You mentioned a part 2, which is interesting. Because when I think of that particular film and how the message was complete. How would you do a part 2 to that? And this is me as a producer, writer, filmmaker, and I do this. That piece will have a life of its own, right? Now I see a wider conversation that you just even mentioned as you just shared, that the storytelling would go beyond that. Now, this is me, not just that one situation, but it'd be like, even as you said in the UK with women, it speaks now to a variety of women with a variety of different issues. Because that was so good. I would hate to, you know how somebody does the first one is very, very good, like their song that's great, the first one, and then the second one, oh man, and that has an impact on the first one. I said, oh man, why'd you do that? You know, leave great alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So talk to me. Talk to me. What would be a part two? What would be the direction for a part two for you guys?
I mean, if we had to do a part two to MÉBET, I mean, Jilan left a son, right? So it will be, okay, what conversations would the son have with the grandfather about, you know, her mother and what happened in the past, and how this also, how would this change the future? Because when Jilan was leaving, she actually admonished her son to be the one that will bring about the actual change, because what has impacted Jilan has already impacted her, and it has happened, and that's, you know, you can't undo that. That's done, right? But she had a conversation with her child, and you know, kind of challenged him to be the agent of change, the element of change moving forward, right? So in a part two, how do we reflect, how do we show that change in Modi, you know, in Jilan's child? You know, how do we have these conversations with him moving forward? So I guess that could be a perspective in doing a part two.
I think in addition to that, there couldn't be a better time for that kind of angle for a part two. Because we're talking about men as allies. We've seen the global Me Too movement and how men are like, oh, don't say men are trash, because it's not all men. Right. And then there's a whole conversation about men as allies. What does allyship represent? What roles can men actually play, especially in a context like the Gambia's, where we live in a patriarchal society. Men are the custodians of power. They make the decisions. This is highlighted in the movie with Jilan's father not even seeking the opinion of the mother in the marriage of their daughter. So I feel like if there was a part two as well, that's the direction I would take. It would be to really highlight and bring to light the power that men hold and how this really impacts on women's lives. And that is why when we usually get asked, why didn't Jilan resist? Why didn't the mother say anything? I think it takes away from the conversation and the understanding that a lot of women still do not have power. Yeah. Power lies with the men who make all of the decisions. So it would be good for us to see this allyship in action. It would be good for us to see, you know, a dismantling of the patriarchy in action, where women's voices are at the fore, where they can speak about the things that affect them, where they have a say in the decisions on their lives. So I would really take it to that direction, especially taking consideration of the global conversations that are happening right now, the relations between Black men and women. What kind of struggle are we fighting? Are our struggles different? If we're looking for liberation, what does that liberation look like? Yeah. Is it only liberation for the Black man, and then the Black woman comes in second? So I think that's a really relevant conversation. And if there were a part two, I would sign up to that direction as well.
Well, let me say that before you. I know he's ready to get started, but then when you talk about that relationship back and forth too, and I guess it depends on what is the foundation of your direction. So if you're a Christian, it establishes one foundation. If you're a Muslim, so it speaks to us if you accept those principles for your life, but at the same time, we're supposed to submit one to another. So what you see in that home, in mine, my wife and I, this is us right here, and when we share those equally in those decisions, so that we both agree to. So I know there's a different discussion that's happening out there for different people, but that's how we do it here, and it works for us. Might not work for everybody. Go ahead, Mr. Producer.
No, basically, I think Jama's kind of sum up what I wanted to say. However, going back, what I was going to say is I think we can bring more context on the characters. For example, through flashbacks, we can talk a lot about the things, because it was a short film, so we could have added a lot more than what we added on it. Yeah. But so initially when we had the script and I was talking to Osman, there was a lot of things that could have been in the script, but because we wanted it as a short film, so we decided, okay, maybe not. But I think when it comes to us doing it a part 2. I think with what Jama was saying and what Oz is saying, using flashbacks as well to go back to the initial what happened. I think that will actually make it so big. I think even a part 3, it really. Yeah.
And you know what I would like, you know what I like to see, and you might have said this, Osman, but about a little boy that might have a crush on one of the little girls, and then seeing this crush now being given off to a grown man. You know what I mean? That right there would be really interesting to see the dynamics of his feelings towards now he's becomes an advocate for you because his heart just got taken because of this wicked system. So that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Why are you smiling?
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking like it actually. I'm talking about allies. You know, sometimes when it hits you, that's when you realize, oh, okay,
Exactly.
this can also affect me. So that's that will spur you into action. So yeah, that's an angle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
An important point I want to raise to that is the fact that when we talk about allies, it's also for protecting our own. So it doesn't really have to take your crush being stolen by someone for you to take action. Any girl you see that is being forced into marriage and having their rights violated, you have an obligation to stand up for them. I just wanted to say that.
It is true, but our cultural traditions sometimes keep us locked in from making that bold statement. So therefore, it has to be personal. It has to be a personal thing that happens to me because usually it's those one individuals that takes up the fight because something personally happened to them.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what she talked about, that's the ideal. That's what we want. That's what we want to see. We want to see a situation where people understand what the issues are, and regardless of whether it affects you directly or indirectly, it's still a point of concern for you.
We have so many people, so many people online that saying different things. There's no definition, unfortunately, child marriage that are not. Let me put my glasses on here. They're not receiving uproar in America. Right.
And that's coming from an American. I know her.
Yeah. Oh, you know him?
Yeah, I know her. Yeah.
Here someone says, a strong team, a great movie, patiently waiting for all the others, other parts. Well done. I love you all. And we have someone here. Listen to Musu make me emotional. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and the thought of seeing her get married makes me sick to my stomach. I would definitely watch the movie. Thank you for sharing your story. And so I think this is really, really good because, folks are able to hear this and also able to see you. It's one thing to hear about a story, or see something on documentaries, how they do a lot of documentaries. But I think it's different when you kind of see folks who kind of created the story and also experience someone who lived the story out. So I want to just say I appreciate you guys. Thank you for submitting your film to the Charlotte Black Film Festival in the States. I don't know if you did a mass blast and sent it everywhere. I don't know how that worked, but thank you guys for sending it to us. We really value, appreciate that, and appreciate this story so much. And hopefully it will get some traction by sharing it. I'm going to ask you guys, if you go to the Charlotte Black Film Festival page, please put your Instagram, whatever your social media is, your name of your organizations, whatever you need to do. There's some links where folks can contact you and make this connection from the U.S. to Gambia. Any last comments or remarks?
On my part, I would just like to say again, thank you to all these wonderful people that collaborated with us to make this movie, make it a reality. Like, I think this also reflects on how dynamic we are as Gambians and Gambia as a community, because all of us here somehow know each other. Like, I knew Musu since she was a little girl, like going to high school and all that. Mariama, we actually worked together, Even my wife, I knew my wife like since what? Maybe 2003 or something like that. Yeah, Setia, and we've known each other. I've been seeing his works, for a long time. Mohammed, we've been together like that since we were young, doing movies together since we were kids. So it's really nice having people like this to collaborate at such scale, and get to realize a vision and a dream. It's a really wonderful thing. So I want to say thank you all again for your support. Thank you for being there. And there are some others that are not even on the call, like Image and Sound, Pamanjai. So just want to say thank you. I appreciate you all, for collaborating with us to doing this.
Good, good. Well, with that being said, once again, if you guys want to see this short film, once again, go to the Charlotte Black Film Festival website, go to the box office. It's under Block 6. It will be screening until 11:59 p.m. tonight, along with the other films that we're screening today. So once again, I want to just appreciate you guys. And if you see the flyer from Gambia to Charlotte, North Carolina, that's how we phrased it. You know what I mean? Bringing culture to us. And we appreciate you guys so much for doing that. Once again, thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.